All right, everybody. Hello, everyone, and welcome to part one of Film Music Media's second annual symposium. My name is Kai Savas. I am the founder of Film Music Media, and I'm so excited to be here today with this amazing panel of composers, songwriters, and storytellers. So first up, let's introduce our panel. They are children's content creators, songwriters, educators, and two of the co-founders of the new streaming service, Kids Imagination. Please welcome Rachel Charest and Aaron Bertram.
Hey, thank you so much for having us. Appreciate it.
We're so excited to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. And next, they're most recently the co-composers of A Christmas Dance Reunion, along with a host of other great work together individually. Please welcome Antonio Naranjo and Meiro Stamm.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hey
thanks
guys,
for having us.
Yes, thanks for having us. Happy to be here.
So this panel, we're focusing on duos here. You guys are partners, you've been working together. So I'd love to get started and ask all of you what's the origin story? How did you guys meet? Let's start with Antonio and Meiro first.
So we met, I guess, about 4 or 5 years ago. I was actually looking for a singer for a pitch for a theme song for a kids show, an animated show. And it's tough to find male singers that don't either sound really young or really kind of manly. I wanted sort of, a young, cool guy, and found Antonio, and he did an amazing job. And then it turned out that he was also a composer. And so we sort of checked out each other's cues and went, maybe we could do something together. And here we are.
All right. And Antonio, do you have anything to share about your first meeting?
Yeah, everything you said is true.
Yeah,
that's how it happened.
Yeah. Did you guys click immediately? What was kind of what let you guys knew that you guys worked together? What was the kind of the chemistry there?
I think I'll speak for me. I think it clicked. Yeah. It felt pretty serendipitous. I came to his studio to do this session, and we kind of, we kind of hit it off. It was just this one-off thing to start, and we just got to talking and had a lot in common. And I think we both kind of were really curious about what each other's skills, and it just kind of went from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. So Rachel and Aaron, tell us your origin story. How'd you guys meet, and how did this team form together?
Looking at you like you're starting. Okay, so I'm going to take this. So we actually met at the Disneyland Resort. Myself and Aaron, as well as our third member, have all worked and performed there musically and theatrical shows. So we actually met at Disneyland while performing.
Wow.
Yeah. And our third member, him and I have been friends since high school, and we're not, we're just 28, so it's no big deal. But because we were in a band together, writing music together, that's kind of where Kids Imagination took off, where Rachel, myself, and his name's Vince Walker, we just kind of all clicked together and decided to move on with this project, or move forward with it.
Absolutely. And I think we can all tell that you two are actually performers, because you're kind of glowing in front of the camera versus the rest of us who normally are behind the cameras. But it's amazing.
Very brightly colored.
Also, sorry, Kaya. I want to point out we're married too, so that's a huge thing too. Yeah,
then that adds to the chemistry.
Yes, and we got married at Disneyland.
Wow. So yeah, you guys are definitely in the children's mindset, and being there with. I work at Cartoon Network Studios, so I work in animation as well. Oh, no, so we're all children's entertainers, and but it's yes. Thank you for sharing your story. It's so great. So let's move back to Antonio Meiro. So. You guys, how do you, working as a duo, how do you kind of divide up the work when working on a project like A Christmas Dance Reunion? Kind of, how do you decide who does what? Is there kind of like a meeting at the start, or do you kind of go off, do things, come back together? Kind of, what's your kind of approach to that?
We've kind of developed a rhythm where we trade off thematic things. So we watch the film, and then we kind of just identify the certain thematic content and the themes of the story. And we'll go off and write individually, and then we'll share what we've each individually written, and it kind of becomes very collaborative. So I'll speak for me, and I think I can speak for Meiro. We both come from, I think we all do, from band backgrounds and playing, a very collaborative way of making music. So we found a way to kind of keep that alive and keep the energy going, and find a way to breathe new life into you're writing a bunch of themes over 90 minutes if you're working on a film or on a TV show, or even longer, to keep it engaging and keep yourself engaged and keep the energy flowing.
Yeah, I mean, we just basically trade MIDI files of our thematic ideas, and a thematic idea can literally be 3 notes or a bar or something, and it's great to be able to just have that shared folder, go in and kind of poke around, see what's in there, and sometimes you hear something and you just go, oh right, this is that little missing thing that I needed for something that I was working on, right? And so it all just kind of weaves together, and like we don't really sort of go, oh, now let's use this part of your thing and this part of my thing or whatever. We both just kind of grab and then keep sending back and forth. And that's how we sort of create this seamless musical DNA. And at the end, I kind of don't know who wrote what anymore, actually.
Which is, I think, the best thing possible. It becomes one cohesive voice.
That's amazing. I mean, that's what you strive for. Yeah, you don't want people to feel jarred while listening or watching. So. No, absolutely. So Rachel and Aaron, kind of the same topic. How do you guys split up your? First of all, what kind of are your roles within Kids Imagination, and how do you collaborate with each other in those 2 different roles?
Yeah, I mean, like Antonio was saying, we are also very collaborative. But I would say in general, probably Aaron has a lot of ideas for melodies, and I have a lot of ideas for lyrics. But we definitely collaborate as a whole, and it ends up being something that we've all contributed a piece to. And Vince Walker, our 3rd member, Aaron and he have been writing songs together since they were in band together, in marching band. So it does end up kind of being something that we all sit down and contribute to until we feel that we have a finished product.
When we're putting out web series, the turnover is very quick. And so we divvy up the writing of the script to, all the back end where you're like, oh, I got to get the costumes and I got this and this and this. But as far as music is concerned, we also have an underlying score plus an original song with each webisode. So it comes together within a few days, and that's also recording vocals, getting it fully produced and put out. And so
Vince is definitely our engineer, our sound engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Luckily, there's 3 of us, and we know that's how we kind of divvy it up. It's like, okay, I'll take the script for this one, you take the lyrics for that one. Vince is always just kind of that background.
Mix and mastering.
It's and you also cut and paste certain themes, right? So you go, Rachel's theme is ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba, and so it's so easy once you start getting the files together to just kind of piecing it together. It's about getting that workflow and just kind of pushing it through. So.
Absolutely. So let's stay with you 2 for a bit, because I want to know how you kind of got more into creating content in the children's entertainment industry. I know you mentioned you worked at Disney together, and has this always been your passion, and what kind of drove this, and how did this company come to be?
I feel like our passion is musical theater and just sort of music and performing and emoting, right? And when about 10 years ago, I started working actually in a preschool and teaching preschool music classes, and I felt the need to just write songs that worked with me, because each music teacher is different and has a different way of presenting their materials. And so mine is very upbeat and just kind of like not in your face, but just let's go, 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 go. I don't want to sit on anything, 5 minutes for each activity or song, and we move on. So I started writing music, getting together with Vince, putting it together. Rach started coming in with going, hey, let's do a story with this. And then we're like, oh, all of a sudden we have this product, and
it naturally evolved into more of a musical theater presentation.
So it was all live until about 3.5 years ago, when we said, why don't we make our own TV show and just put it on YouTube and kind of go from there. And that's kind of how it all kind of blossomed. So
so it's kind of like you have both elements. When you come to a live musical theater performance, you can go home and watch the videos as a supplemental part to the experience, and vice versa. People who find us online can come to the live shows.
And the live shows are fully produced musicals / interactive dance parties. It's this weird description, but we just performed at Legoland over 600 shows this past year in 2021, and with 5 shows a day. But we wrote these shows for Legoland, knowing their audience and knowing the stage and knowing that there's a Jumbotron. And so we were able to put all of these elements that we do in a web series or in a virtual format, and put it out. And so it's kind of the best of both worlds. We get to sing, dance, have fun.
Yeah, it kind of combines all of our interests, being that Vince and Aaron in the ska band, us having our musical theater background, but Aaron and I as well having a background in early childhood education. It kind of just brings all of our natural interests into one product.
That's amazing. It just you can that organicness where it doesn't even feel like you literally are just everybody's contributing what they love and kind of it all works. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I also Kids Imagination also just launched Cayenne TV, which is jumbling today.
No, you got it. It's your name.
Which is a subscription-based streaming service solely for kids. What was it like creating this? Since it is kind of the first of its kind, I know a lot of the big studios and networks, including my own, are trying to focus on preschool, trying to focus on kids, and trying to hit that niche, but you're just taking it all on as your full streaming service. So talk about that. That's amazing.
We wanted a platform that would bring all of our fans together in one place, because we do so much, because we have live concerts, because we teach music. We wanted a place where all of that could live. Our web series, we will film our live concerts and present them as well. So we've created all of this content over the past 10 years. We wanted somewhere where people could access it commercial free. And also just be a part of a community. We have, our chat box. They can submit to us videos and photos. It kind of creates a place where that family can live, because in the past we only taught music at private schools, and we'd always have our followers at our live shows. How can we be a part of your music class? But they couldn't, because we were only teaching, at a private school. So we need a space where we can all come together as a community. And also a place where all of that content can live, whether it be archival video of a live show we did at an amphitheater that they can come back and watch, or a way that we can share music education and our passion for music, and they can access all of our educational content as if it were our own version of Netflix. So,
and we go live 5 times a week with interactive stories. Music classes. We in the preschool world, as you know, it's called circle time, which is when preschool teachers sit down at the beginning of the day and talk about weather and numbers and days of the week and things like that. So we have a class specifically for that age group, and then a music class. And like Rachel said, it's community. We have a whole Facebook-like thing on our website where parents submit drawings, they submit videos, they submit song requests for dance parties that we host on our website, and these live streams look like a TV show.
But they can interact with us. Like the parent on their behalf can say, wait a second, what is a quarter note? And we can in real time respond to them. So it's kind of like their TV show is talking to them.
And vice versa. We have challenges like, these 3 silly things that we can do at the end of class, you get to vote for it. Or maybe a child drew something really cool. They could take a picture, put it in the chat box. Within a minute, I can then put it on the screen, and it's all part of the show. I mean, it's fully produced transitions, fully produced new songs. We're
excited.
We're excited about it. So we're just like rambling on and on.
No,
Back
I
to
can't
you,
imagine. No, I just can't imagine right now. I mean, of course, in the world that we live in, I'm sure parents are striving to look for things like this for their children who are at home and not getting the stimulation that normally would get if they went to actual preschool and stuff like that, living in the pandemic world. So
imagine a TV show that says your name, because they check in at the beginning of the show, the class, and we literally go through those names and make sure we say them throughout the class. So it just becomes something that's theirs.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
very personal. Yeah.
That's amazing. So let's jump over to Antonio and Meiro. Let's talk about a Christmas dance reunion, because you guys work together on this, and I'm just curious, how do you find a tone for a project like this? How do you kind of narrow down onto what the music has to be and what kind of tone you're trying to convey? Is it just looking at the images, looking at the what are you kind of looking at to find the inspiration and find the tone?
Well, I mean, I think, for a project like a Christmas Dance Reunion, it's a genre film, right? It's a feel-good Christmas movie. So there's a certain amount of audience expectation already, right? So, it's going to be light. There's never going to be anything too dark or nasty happening, right? The director, Brian Hertzlinger, we'd worked with before on another film called Twinkle All the Way. And, he really loves the traditional sweeping orchestral kind of scores. And so we knew, we're going to do another one of those. And, this one's a little different because it did have all the dance numbers, right? So there were a lot of songs, which were done ahead of time, and we weren't involved in that. So yeah, it's just sitting down, watching the movie, and consulting with the director, and then writing a lot of notes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I have a question. I love Christmas movies. I love those goosebump moments where you're just watching and you're just like, I want to cry right now, or you're almost there. And it really is all about the music, right? It's that sweeping orchestral stuff that you were talking about. The question I have for you is, do you, when you write it and you're watching it and you're putting it there, are you looking for that for yourself, sort of that feeling, or are you kind of numb to it at this point and you just know that the feeling will go there? Like, oh, bar 32 is when it hits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know that we're looking for it all the time, but it happens. And when it happens, that's the barometer, right? Like you have to trust that. If you feel it, I think everyone, whoever watches it is going to feel the same way. It's really special. Like, and it's kind of strange when you write something and you're like, why am I choking up right now? But you have to trust that if it's affected you, then it's done its job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you know how it is, right? I mean, you work on a project and you watch it literally 800 times, right? And there are tools that we all have in our arsenals, right? As songwriters, composers, there's moves that you can make that it's gonna lift a certain way, or it's gonna do something, right? And but I think it comes down to as well, you write those moments and you think you've hit it. And then, the client preview is always nerve-wracking, right? Like, no matter how many times you've done it, no matter how many times you've worked with someone, you send out that preview. Oh, I hope they like it. I hope they like it. And then when it comes back and they say, oh, it gave me chills. It gave me, goes, all right, good. We did it. Because I think when you're in the thick of it, sometimes you can get a little detached, right? You feel a little numb.
100%. You become, that's exactly. I think it actually, you get too far inside it.
Yeah.
That you lose objectivity sometimes. So it's always nice to be surprised, and it happens. And it makes you recognize, that our job, like, as much as we have tools that we can go to, and we have, a certain amount of musical knowledge that we can rely upon, it is this living and breathing thing. And sometimes it gets you, and that's really, that it reminds you why you do it.
Yeah. And I mean, do you not find the same thing that, you finish something and all you hear is what's wrong with it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. The worst critics are your own.
Right.
I
mean, I think all creators have that, right? Okay. The next one will be really good.
Absolutely. And ours is interesting in that after we've worked on it so much on our own, we take it to the live stage and then we see how the audience reacts. And in some places they react as expected. In other places, either in a positive or negative direction, it's definitely not what we planned for. And we kind of have to adjust on stage and say, okay, that did not work as planned. And then, but look at this magical moment that we did not expect to happen, that they're connecting with, and we have to focus there now.
Absolutely.
That's so great that you get that feedback. Right?
Immediately too.
Yeah.
Immediately. And as improvers also on stage, and since it is our own product, we pivot very quickly. You feel it. You feel the audience go, ooh, that is not what we wanted.
That's not what we thought would happen there.
But as storytellers, I mean, that's your storytelling through the music, and I think the music in those movies, it is the most, and that's the star. It really is the star.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, we can go around the room here. What do you each find to be the most fulfilling or your favorite thing about composing and songwriting? What really is creatively rewarding to you, and what keeps you going? And let's start with Meiro.
Well, I think it is that audience feedback. I mean, for me, it's not as immediate because, I mean, a Christmas dance reunion, for example, we scored that a year ago. So, it's a long time between it being in my studio, in Antonio's studio, and then, getting audience reaction. But I mean, I work on a lot of preschool shows as well, a lot of animation. And I've had the joy of having some of them hit, right when, like, my daughter now is 13, but when she was in kindergarten and, they came out and all those little kids knew all the songs that I had written, and they had made up their own lyrics. And, it's really cool, right? And you meet people and they tell you stories about, oh yeah, I saw your thing, and I really love this and that, and yeah, it's I think just the audience really, even if it is in a delayed reaction.
That's incredible. I mean, to have people react to that, I mean, just to have that feedback is amazing. Antonio, how about yourself? What's the most creatively rewarding thing for you?
I mean, I'm not to jump on what Meiro said, but and I shouldn't speak for anyone else, but I do think that is the ultimate reward.
Yeah,
I'm gonna agree. It's a conversation. Like you're relaying. Your music is able to express a lot of what you can't say with words. It's the sensory, intangible thing. I'll use an example. I this past summer, a show that I work on this last season has a large musical component. So I for the first time wrote a musical, and I was on set.
Wow, congratulations, that's amazing.
Thank you. And I was on set for the last day of the last episode, shooting the last scene of the series, and the actors were performing a song that I'd written, and everyone cried.
Wow.
Everyone cried. And to me,
that the goosebumps.
I cried because I did not expect that. Like it's something you toil away on, and you hope. You're trying to convey a feeling. You're trying to reach out to people and reach into their hearts and make them feel the way you feel. That's why we get into music, because you hear something, you're like, I want to do that. I want to be able to make people feel the way that made me feel.
Yeah.
And those moments it's the ultimate catharsis. For me, that is it. That is why you do it.
I mean, when I was little, that's why I gravitated towards music. I'm not a musician or a composer, but what got me into filmmaking was soundtracks and scores like that. And when I was little, it was, I could connect. And I grew up on on Land Before Time and stuff like that, where they didn't, they treated children's emotions real. And when you can treat treat them as adults and treat them as people and have that human connection, I think that's the biggest thing. And I always remember, you always remember the things that make you cry, whether it's happy or sad, but it's like, that's what sticks with you. So I think I agree with that completely. Yeah. It's amazing. So Aaron and Rachel, let's move to you. What
the answer? I think they nailed it. I mean,
you said it very well.
You said it. I mean, the only thing I can add is, it's a different experience because we do the live performances as well as come out with the albums and put it together in a web series format. But this past time, we had a Christmas run of our Christmas album and our show, and we had a show where everyone was singing the words to the song. And keep in mind, these are 3, 4, 5-year-olds, but to be able to sing it with us, that was a moment. That was one of those moments, right, where you're just like,
to know that it meant, like you were both saying, we'll echo, like to know that it meant something to someone else as much as it means to you, and to know that you're all there sharing in that moment. And we have this one Christmas song that is kind of like our Hallmark Christmas song, that's kind of like our Disney song, that is kind of all the Christmas feels, and to have everyone out there singing it with you together is like, that's what you strive for, is that it means something to everyone involved and you're sharing in that collective moment together.
It's also an EDM song, but that's a whole different. Put the feelings in an EDM song, then we got it.
Disney meets EDM meets Hallmark.
It wasn't supposed to be an EDM song, but it just ended up being.
Yeah.
There you go.
but I think one other thing too, and this is probably true, I don't know for everybody, but it's just the joy of the work, right? Like every day you start and there's this blank page, and by the end of the day you've created something, right? And it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun too.
Yeah. You have to remind yourself of it sometimes. It's like when you're in it and it feels like work. I think I did it this morning. I'm like, you're waking up to write music. Yeah. What a privilege.
We did it this morning too, Antonio.
Yeah.
That's what we said this morning. We did a live stream.
You have to say, check in, look around.
Yeah. We're at home during a pandemic, and we get to create and reach a lot of people. This is the best thing ever. Yeah.
That's amazing. So since we are here, we have 2 pairs here, 2 a working relationship duos here, and personal relationship as well. But I was wondering if you have any advice. There's a lot of people, people think of composing and songwriting as kind of this solo thing. Maybe you get to lock yourself in a room, the tortured artist, and I have to be alone with my thoughts, and maybe people are not comfortable being vulnerable with other people. So I'm curious if you guys have advice for anyone who might be looking for a working partner, a creative partner. Would you say to look for somebody that complements your strengths, that maybe complements your weaknesses, that's something that you can't do? But what would you give to somebody, advice you would give to somebody that's looking to maybe reach out and try to find a creative partner? And we can start with Meiro again.
I think first off, it's personality, right? You have to kind of want to hang out with this person, because you're going to be, spending a lot of hours, and a lot of difficult hours sometimes, where you're really cranky and things are not fun and there's pressure and so on. And, if you can still laugh, right? And then
that's important.
Want to do it all over again. I think that's number one. All the other stuff I think kind of falls into place naturally, right? You have to have overlapping skills for sure. You can't be two just totally separate entities in a way. You have to have some common ground, and then hopefully there's enough that's unique to each of you, which I think is, pretty easy to find in most creative people, that you're now, more than you are on your own, right?
Absolutely. Antonio, would you agree? Anything else?
And I would completely agree. I think I would like, a relationship like this, I would liken it to finding any type of partner, whether, romantic or otherwise. It is a partner. You're sharing something very intimate. And that being said, aside from, enjoying having them around and being around them, I think there is also, you need to be able to allow yourself to be vulnerable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And there's you're now two people. And if you are both willing to listen and be present, I think that really influences the chances of the two of you becoming greater than the sum of your parts.
Absolutely. So Aaron, Rachel, how about you? What kind of advice would you have for people seeking to find a creative partner?
I feel like we're just adding on to both, but I have a huge problem, and it's something that I've worked on, which is letting go of an idea, right? Not being stuck on an idea. And I think as an individual, you really do get stuck on that. And having a partner or having someone else that has something contrary to say about that.
A different outlook, or different perspective.
And to being able to let go and trust that person is one of the best things that I've ever done, which is just go, man, okay, I really feel strongly about this, but if you think it's like, let's just let it happen. Rach is here, but also with Vince, our trio, that's the same thing, right? It's just kind of letting go and being able to trust the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I'm curious, and I just want to piggyback on this idea. But what do you guys do if you have disagreements, or how do you compromise if one person's saying one thing, the person's saying the other? Where do you find common? How often does that happen? Maybe you guys are someone's thinking that, but anyone, I'm just opening up to the floor just to chip in. How do you get over disagreements?
Yeah, it definitely happens. I think we're lucky to have three, because sometimes we'll just say, you know what, let's put it. There's three of us. If we put it out there to a vote, here are the two options. I mean, we're gonna have to only
democracy
go
wins there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what you were saying, Antonio, is true. If you, like in any relationship, you have to know that your partner, that you share the same values and the same goals. But then for me, it's about starting in a place of peace and open-mindedness, and knowing that if I do have an idea and maybe someone else is going to take it in a different direction, that I do trust that person and our common goals and common values, that at the end of the day, it's going to all come together to something that we're all three happy with. Yeah. But yeah, we have gotten to those points where we kind of disagree, even on things like, all right, we're going to release this album to Spotify. Is it going to be a single or an EP or and we'll say, all right, well, you know what? What do we all think? And the majority rules.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to take a step back and go, let's come back to it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's a good advice. Yeah.
That's always
Let's sleep
good.
On it.
Yeah.
Antonio, Meiro, yeah. But as a duo, do you guys ever come to disagreements, and when you don't have a third to tip the scale, how do you guys deal with that?
Well, we have the director.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, boss above.
He's always the tipping point. Yeah. What does he think? But even if we didn't have the director, I think I mean, if we're working on this film in this instance, if there's something that doesn't, if we were in disagreement, which we weren't, but if there is ever an issue, the story is the deciding factor. Does it serve the story? Does it serve what's happening on screen? Does it serve moving, certain things forward, like in terms of like leaning into a romantic relationship that's burgeoning? Maybe we want to explore that. That's the thing that you lean on. And it's the same thing when, like, if you're in a band. I mean, when I was in my band, I was in a band of 4. There were many. That's 4 egos. Yeah. And it's sometimes very hard.
I was gonna say we're in a ska band, so there's 8 of us.
Oh wow, yeah. Oh my god.
And we were all the leader, by the way. I just want to point that out.
Trumpet players like, I think we need more trumpet. Yeah. But the song is ultimately what that's king or queen. That is what you're serving. So it's what is best for the song, what is best for the film, what is best for the story. You have to set your ego aside. You're working in service of something that's bigger than that.
That's true. I would just say too that the way our workflow is for Antonio and me, it's because we put out our material and join it at the beginning. Then we divide up the film, right? And we each go off and write our cues based on our common musical themes, right? So it's not that we're there, on every single cue together. But then we serve as each other's eyes and ears before it goes out, right? And it's like, hey, have you considered doing this at this part, or maybe it should go longer or shorter, or whatever, right? So we kind of have a nice built-in third party sort of between the two of us, just by looking at each other's cues.
Or we'll be each other's cheerleader. If someone's like, I just can't, I can't. We'll be like,
that's true.
Yeah.
You can, because it's due tomorrow.
You can, you will.
Absolutely. Well, before we wrap up, first of all, we're not wrapping up yet, but I just want to thank everyone for all that amazing insight. That's just fantastic. But I would love to go around the room, and I know sometimes you can't share projects that are in progress. We have NDAs we have to respect, but is there anything that anyone can share that we can look forward to coming up next, or maybe what's in the future that we can all expect from you guys? If anyone wants to share, we can jump in.
I'll jump first. We are coming out with a preschool Circle Time album for preschool classrooms that act as sort of a soundtrack to a day. So transition songs. So if it's a song that's going outside, it's a rockin' song that gets the kids pumped to go outside.
Kind of an auditory cue to help them transition into the next activity of the day.
The theme is doom, 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 and then that starts every transition song, along with songs with the alphabet and phonics and things like that too. So that's our next step.
Yeah, it's prepare them for snack time, prepare them for lunchtime. So they have an auditory cue in their day that they can wrap their emotions around. Okay, we're going to stop what we're doing now and move on to the next activity, and it's done in a fun, thematic way.
Yeah.
Can you guys do that for adults? I would love to score my own life. That's amazing.
Oh right?
And that's where the idea comes from, right? The idea comes from the Kronk from Emperor's New Groove singing his own theme song. I mean, that's really what it is. It's like we're going outside. Outside's about share time, and it's all educational too, and it instills the values of what friendship is and just being a kind person.
And that's what that is what motivates me, at least. If you want to get something done, you put on your favorite upbeat song. All of a sudden, you're doing it faster and with a better attitude. So it is.
Seriously, I need going to Costco music. I need writing, doing Bill's music. No.
Yes.
Antonio, Meiro, is there anything coming up that you're able to share about?
So actually we'll be working on a couple projects later in the year, but I'm working on a murder mystery right now for Lifetime, starring Tony Braxton, and it's based on a book series called the Fallen Angels Book Club, and that I believe will be out in the spring, but I'm not entirely sure. And then also a couple of preschool shows for a company called Super Simple Songs, and one of them is an action show. So a lot of notes per second on that one, and a lot of rock guitar too, which is fun. And then there's another one that's jazz based. So lots of fun stuff coming.
That's awesome. Antonio, anything to share?
Yeah, I kind of made mention of the show that has a musical. So I work on a show called Detention Adventure, which in America you can find on HBO Max. And the third and final season will be coming out, I think, in March, and it's for young adults. And this season, these kids who are in middle school, and they're a rough and tumble bunch of a motley crew of students in middle school who get into trouble and use their brains to solve some mysteries. They go to summer camp on an island. It's an island school. And a large part of the season is a musical that I've been working on for now a year.
Wow.
But it should be coming out in March.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this evening. This was amazing. And I want to thank all of you for sharing your stories and sharing your insight. I think it was a fantastic inspiration for anyone who's listening. And I want to thank Impact24 PR for helping put this amazing panel together. Be sure to head to Film.Music.Media.com to check out our other panels in this series. And I hope everyone has a great evening.